For investors looking at the UK economy, the advice is not to slavishly track the cycle, but to look at the big issues that the UK faces and line up their investment behind those themes. And it seems to me that the big themes are chronic housing shortage. The UK needs to be building 400,000 houses a year. It's building around about 100,000. There is a huge shortfall. The average wage in the UK is £26,500 a year. The average house price in London is £500,000. It's a huge gulf, well over 16 times between average salary and average house price in London. And in the rest of the country, the average house price is nearing 300,000. So it has very serious housing problems in the UK. So any investor who is interested in build to rent, build to sell, and the other sorts of solutions that might be appropriate to that market should line up behind that market and put their money there, because that is a generational problem. That is not a 5-year problem, it's not a 10-year problem, it's a 50, it's a 100-year problem for the UK. So housing, first opportunity for investors. Second opportunity for investors is infrastructure. If you're going to house people, you've got to be able to get them to and fro from their houses. You've got to be able to get them from their living spaces to the urban economic working spaces where activity is actually going on and where their jobs are. And as part of that, HS2, connecting London with Birmingham and ultimately Birmingham and London with Manchester and Leeds, is a vital component. It will be a kind of infrastructural spine to the whole country. Crossrail 2, going north to south across London, again, absolutely vital to open up those areas of London which have hitherto not benefited from the huge boom that London's going through. So infrastructure is something that I would line up very firmly behind. And lastly, I would mention energy. And here, the government, as we've seen in the recent investments by the Chinese investors into Hinkley Point and other investors in a joint venture with EDF of France, the government is very keen to encourage overseas investment into those large-scale energy infrastructure projects. And what each of these areas have in common, housing, infrastructure and energy, is that they cost a lot of money. A big capital input is required to create the initial infrastructure in those areas upon which that industry can then build. And the issue that the UK has got is that the government is committed to getting the UK's debt down. So the government will not borrow, even though many governments would, this government will not borrow to invest in infrastructure, housing or energy, but it will underwrite investments and encourage and incentivize investments by others to fill that gap, which it would in a normal cycle perhaps be filling itself. So there's a great opportunity here for investors to plug in with the government's need and to capitalise on the government's wish to have their money in this area, and therefore the government is going to be underwriting those investments, and it's going to be matching those investments, and it's going to be incentivising those investments with tax breaks.